Welcome, everyone. My name is Guy. I'm a manager and coach at Ultra Trail Coaching. We're hosting this webinar this evening. Thank you, Karel, for taking the time
Yeah,
to share
uh,
your experience and stories of the Barkley marathons.
yeah, I'm excited. It's a story I've been talking about left and right, but yeah, I thought it was a good idea just to gather some people online and to take like an hour or so just to go through some of my most memorable experiences from the Barkley marathons and share some insights and some some adventures from out there.
Fantastic. So, as I mentioned, the webinar is hosted by Ultra Trail Coaching. Ultra Trail Coaching is a coaching platform that you created, Karel,
Yeah,
to help trail runners and ultra runners prepare for their race.
yeah.
What was your vision, and how is the platform different than other platforms in the market?
Yeah. Well, so yeah, I founded Ultra Trail Coaching about 3 years ago now, together with a software engineer called Stain. Kind of with the idea of the fact that I have made a lot of mistakes myself in the past as an ultra runner. So basically, I got into ultra running with a lot of excitement, but with very little knowledge. And basically, I thought, to train for an ultra marathon where you will be running maybe 8 kilometers an hour, you're supposed to run 8 kilometers an hour the entire year, and you'll perform well at an ultra marathon. But as I gained experience, I learned that there's so much more to training than just volume, and it's necessary for your body and to continue to make progress as an athlete to have a dynamic training, very individualized. And so we created an algorithm that guides people from start to finish, year after year through their ultramarathon journey and trail running journey. So I share advice and tips, but the program offers an individualized, dynamic training schedule. So for example, if you connected your watch and you sleep bad, your hard workouts from the day after will be postponed. So you only train hard when you're well rested and things like that. It's been a super exciting journey. And yeah, it's a work in progress. I love working on it, and it's nice to see all the nice feedback from the athletes who have been
And,
training with it.
and does it prepare you for a specific race as well?
Yeah, you can train for every race you want with it. You can also train without a race if you just want to get in better shape. But you can sign up for any race and then upload the GPX file. The platform will already know, okay, this is the elevation change you're facing and the distance, and it will create your personalized training schedule and help you out on the journey towards your race. Yeah.
Yeah, in terms of specific races, the Barkley is something different, of
Yeah.
course. Uh, you refer to it very much as solving a puzzle as well, in
Yeah.
addition to running. So, what makes the Barkley such an extraordinary race?
Yeah, I mean, there's I think two main elements of the Barkley, and then a lot of small puzzle pieces. But the biggest puzzle piece is the physical fitness that is required to do well at the Barkley marathons. So you have about 200 kilometers if you manage to follow the course pretty accurately, with a bit over 20,000 meters of elevation change. So that means 1,000 meter of elevation change every 10 kilometers, which is quite intense. And to do that within a 60-hour time limit, physically you need to be in tremendous shape. But I do believe that, especially from those 40 strong athletes who are always at the start of the Barkley, if it would be a marked course on trails, that 200 kilometers with 20,000 meter of elevation change would be possible for, definitely a lot more people than the finisher that happens every now and then. And that is because, navigation is the second big puzzle part of the Barkley marathons. So it's off trail, You get the course, yeah, guidance. He writes down how to navigate the course, and he gives you a master map. But yeah, navigating along the course is very complicated. You need to be comfortable with map and compass. You need to feel the land, to feel the ridges, to feel on which mountain you are climbing, where you have to descend. And those are the two main elements of the Barkley marathons, I think. The physical fitness and then navigation. And then you have the added stress elements of what Laz added to the race, not knowing the start time, needing to find the books, sleep deprivation, weather conditions, yeah, all kinds of things that happen when you are out there on the course.
How on earth do you prepare for something like that, Karel?
Yeah, so I focus mainly on the two biggest parts of the Barkley marathons. Number one is physical fitness. So yeah, I did train a lot. It was my fourth time training for the Barkley marathons. So three times where I was able to compete. One time where I finished the biggest load of my training, but then saw the event cancelled due to COVID.
Yeah.
But yeah, the physical fitness. So yeah, I use it in ultra trail coaching as well. So I like to train for an event and try to mimic the elevation change per distance during my training as well. So in the case of Barkley, you are aiming for 1,000 meters of elevation change every 10 kilometers, which inevitably leads to you doing hill repetitions, especially if you're living in Flanders like I do. The reality is that hill repetitions is the way to go, and it has been the way to go for previous finishers. You need the uphill climbing, you need the downhill running. You cannot mimic it in the fitness or in the gym, because focusing only on the uphill will damage your quads on the downhill during the race. So it's not the most interesting type of training, and it's a pretty rough winter because it's always dark when you're training. You're doing hill repetitions. It's often raining or snowing, but it creates a kind of mindset that you need to be able to finish such an event, right? So the training is physical, but also mental because it's repetitive. You need to be extremely dedicated to be able to continue to train. And then in my after hours in the evenings, I study maps, I read race reports, I read books about the Barkley. I get obsessed about the Barkley. I wake up at night dreaming about the Barkley. That's the dedication you need in order to finish the Barkley. And what has been very inspiring, for example, is reading the finishers book from Alexis Berg and Aurélien Delfosse. Because when you read about those 15 finishers, it creates an idea in your mind of what it needs to become a finisher. So you see the mindset that those people have and how they approach the Barkley, how they see it as a puzzle to solve, and how they are often engineers or problem solvers. And reading that book, I got myself into the right mindset as well to become the 16th, or in my case now, the 17th finisher of the Barkley Marathons.
Yeah, and then we saw you do a massive training program in Gran Canaria.
Yeah.
What were you trying to get out of that?
Yeah, so that was a first for me. I did a training camp indeed in Gran Canaria. Um, so going into this Barkley, I did go into it, into training as well as into the race with the idea of, okay, this is going to be my last Barkley attempt. I attempted two times already, and I sacrificed 3 winters on very repetitive training in difficult circumstances. And so, I managed to take a week off of work to go on a training camp to Gran Canaria, which is a short flight from where I live. And over there, you have the ideal slopes of 500 to 600 meters. You have good weather conditions. There's no snow because elsewhere in Europe, it's all snow where you have the decent amount of elevation change. And so what was really nice is that the entire week in Gran Canaria, I could focus on just running, resting, eating, and sleeping. And that was nice because I could get in an extreme training load, but because I was able to rest and sleep long and had nothing to worry about except for training, I managed to get out of the training camp uninjured and with a lot of confidence. So I did 24,000 meters of elevation change in 5 days, and then some easier runs as well, but focusing on elevation change. And that was about 1 month before the Barkley, and I came back from the island very confident. Yeah.
Yeah. So then we're off to the States,
Yeah.
and there's about 40 runners, all well prepped, some more than others,
Yeah.
with a small crew. So how's the atmosphere there?
Yeah, it's so exciting to go back to the Barkley, and the reason why I keep on going or kept on going back is that those 40 runners are exceptional people. They are super interesting. They are nice people. Their crews are nice. So on Monday when everybody is gathering, it's so exciting to see those cool people again and meet some friends again. Jared Campbell, John Kelly, Joe McConaughey. It was the first time I saw him. Who held the record at the PCT and still holds the self-supported record on the AT. Jasmine Paris was there again. Damien Hall, good friend from Belgium, Thomas. Yeah, awesome people, legendary people, and just humble, super nice people to chat with. And we're not only talking about the race, but also about life and how training has been. And it's just exciting to see Laz again and to see everybody again. I did have a bit of a hiccup on the way to the States as I got sick on the airplane. I had to throw up, and I probably ate something wrong the day before flying out to the United States. And so, the days before the race, I was not really able to eat and drink a lot, which wasn't that great, of course. The reason I flew to the United States only on Saturday, while the race was already starting Monday night, on Tuesday morning, is that partly I'm still pretty occupied with my job, but also because I wanted to stick to Belgian time zone or European time zone as I got into the United States, because we are 6 hours ahead of Barkley time. And by staying on European time, I was able to go to bed at 4 p.m. already, because that was 10 p.m. Belgian time. And it made it possible for me to go to bed at 4 p.m. the day before the race. So basically, Laz arrives at around noon. He hangs out a bit. He makes a few jokes, laughs that there won't be any finishers. And then by 2 or 3 p.m., he puts out the master map so you can see the course of this year. Then you have to copy the map, and you get the new descriptions of where the books are at and how to follow the course. And then usually there's a bit of a get together in the evening with the famous chicken, the Barkley chicken. But I skipped on that one because I went to bed at 4 p.m., which would have allowed me to sleep 8 hours if it would have been a midnight start. There wasn't a midnight start. It was a pretty late start. I think it was 10:15 or 10:30 even. But I slept with my watch on, and it told me I slept for 13 and a half hours. So mission succeeded, or mission successful. I was able to go into the Barkley with confidence that at least the night before I had slept, and with some power naps, I thought I would be able to go through 2 nights and make a finish happen.
Yeah, so then what's the right tactic for Loop 1?
Yeah.
We have to go on that, right?
We will try to make this a bit interactive. I'm not sure if the poll if it's possible to reply to the poll, but if you guys can see it, you can try to answer it. In like 15 seconds, I will publish the results if it works. But how do you guys think you should start the Barkley marathons? Do you think you have to go all out, full gas from the start? Could you go conservative, or should you go slow and save energy for loops 4 and 5? I'm not sure if the I see results coming in, so I'll give it like another 15 seconds, and we'll see what everybody is saying. Emil thinks full gas, and Sydney thinks full gas. I'm going to publish the results.
There we go.
So half of you guys say you should start conservative. 1 in 3 thinks you should go slow and save energy for loops 4 and 5. 13% says go all out from the start, full gas. Um, yeah, the reality is that my approach is and I think the approach for Barkley is to go all out from the start, full gas. I know in general races you're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to leave a lot of gas in the tank. But I think Barkley is different in the sense that you want to be with the lead pack, who are strong, confident runners with good navigating skills. And the reality is that mentally you need some some margin, some cushion, some extra time from loop 1. So if you would start conservatively and you finish loop 1 in 10 hours, mentally it will already be hard. Like, okay, I gained 2 hours of cushion now, and I'm already pretty close to the time limit, and I still have 4 loops to go. So I did believe that my first loop last year, 8 hours and 3 minutes or something, was maybe a little bit too fast.
Maybe I
Still,
made it now.
I would have done it again. But this year was 8 hours, 27 minutes, perfect loop 1. But I can guarantee you that's all out effort. That's maximal forward motion, no messing around, no stopping to have a snack or anything. I didn't catch up with the lead group. I was behind with Jared Campbell and Joe McConaughey. But Jared, yeah, he's an awesome guy, and it was nice to spend some time with him. Yeah. So
Yeah, we weren't sure because initially we got the comments that a tall guy with beard was in the front, but it wasn't you. But then in the end, it was another guy with a beard running with a non-distinct guy. So indeed, how was it to run with the one and only Jared Campbell, three-time finisher of the Barkley?
yeah, he's such a he's the guy. I mean, he's a class guy. Yeah, so respectful, so knowledgeable about the trail, so strong. Yeah, just an honor to be spending time with her. And I actually spoke it out loud to him. I said, Jared, man, this is such an honor to be running with you on the Barkley course, and let's push on and let's make this happen. He wanted a fourth finish, and I desperately wanted my first finish. So yeah, we got along very well along the course.
Ah, great. So then we have transition time, and I want to hear a little bit from you. Uh, how important is your crew in there?
Yeah, well, it's impossible to underestimate the power and the importance of the crew. I mean, Joe, my brother-in-law, we've been through so much together on the PCT, the AT, the Alps. It was our third Barkley attempt, and we get stronger as a team. And yeah, you can best compare it with a Formula One pit stop, a NASCAR pit stop. It's just um, yeah, as little time as possible, and also knowing If you think it's 2 minutes, it's going to be 6 minutes. If you think it's 5 minutes, it's already 15 minutes. So I did very quick interloopals this year, and still looking back on them, I think yeah, I could have saved some time and but yeah, the role of Joe was just so awesome. He was the one who said, "Yeah, get out there again, and it's time to move." And yeah, such a great team. Yeah, people ask often, what do you focus on during the interloopal? Let's ask you guys as well. Do you think I should focus, or I focus most on eating, on drinking, or on taking care of my feet? Uh, so let's give it another 20 seconds to give you guys a chance to vote.
Yeah, it's amazing how Jorn gets everything prepped for you, but then
Yeah,
also finds exactly the right words to keep you going and going in time.
yeah, exactly. And it's such a rush. I mean, the first three times I went back out, I remember even forgetting to thank him, and just because you're rush, 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 and out there again, and then you're not allowed to communicate anymore because it would be called support. But yeah, people who don't know us yet, and who see how we do it and how Joe do it are in awe of how quickly we do it.
Yeah.
We've got the results here of what people think I'm focusing on. Um, yeah, I think the votes are more or less what is my focus. So my main focus is indeed going to be my feet, with the idea of, yeah, the fact that running on painful feet is just going to slow you down. No matter how you can turn it off, the fact that you are suffering, that you are hurting, if you get tranche feet from loop two, and you start suffering, then it's going to be a really long exploration of the pain cave, as we call it. So I do focus on feet, and that doesn't need to be a lot in reality. So I just sit down in a chair, in a camping chair at the side of the gate. I take off my shoes, my socks. I dip them in water. I clean my feet, get off the dirt. I dry them. I powder them. Put on socks again, fresh socks, fresh shoes, and I'm out again. And in those 3 4 minutes that I'm sitting down doing that, I stuff in, yeah, a hamburger, maybe 3 4 cokes and a Fanta. So I do appreciate the access of soda and coke and Fanta, which you don't have out on the trail. But especially for food, I mean, you have 12 hours to eat. The intensity is low enough that you can actually eat. So it's nice to have a hot soup, but that's all. I mean, it's back out there, and it's very welcome to have fresh socks and shoes, but you need to get out of there as quickly as possible.
Yeah, and then we go into loop two.
Hmm.
And in loop two, there's 14 finishes of loop two. So it's already very telling of how excruciating the hard that one is. Uh,
Hmm.
Tell us a bit more. How was your experience this year?
Yeah. So partly I was happy because one of the changes that Laz introduced this year was, instead of doing loop one and two clockwise and then loop three and four counterclockwise, he decided to let us do loop one clockwise, loop two and three counterclockwise, and loop four clockwise again. And then loop five, the first one can choose, and the other people alternate. And to me, that was helpful in the sense that it is known that counterclockwise is slower. It is a bit more difficult to find certain books. You have the ascent of red gel, you have the meat grinder that you have to climb, and those are really slow ascents, very long ascents. And so, yeah, usually loop four counterclockwise is the crux of the race. It's where everybody either fails or pushes on to make a finish happen. And this year we had a counterclockwise nighttime loop as the second loop, which meant that we were more fresh. less tired, more energy, and so I think that did help to make a finish happen. So a counterclockwise nighttime loop. I suffered a lot during loop two, and the reason for that is that yeah, because I was sick the days before the race, I already started dehydrated, and during loop one, I made a gear mistake in the sense that it was supposed to be extremely cold, -10 or -12 degrees Celsius. So yeah, freezing extremely hard. And I started off with too many layers. So I had a merino t-shirt, a thermal on top of that, a sweater on top of that, a down jacket on top of that, and a small lightweight jacket on top of that. And during loop one, I overheated so extremely because yeah, it wasn't that cold after all. The sun was out, we were moving fast, so we were heating up. And I think I literally sweat 4, 5, maybe 6 liters, being unable to restock immediately on water. And so basically, what happened during the first ascent to Chimney Top on the second loop, I cramped out full body. My quads just, I mean, I don't know if you know that the Compax system, the neuro stimulator that you can put on your muscles to stimulate them. It's like max power for 10 seconds, and then yeah, I couldn't move. I saw Jared and Joe drop me on the climb, and then I realized, okay, this is way too early to be alone on a counterclockwise nighttime loop. And so what I did, yeah, with my fists, I hit my upper quads, hardened up, kept going. It was tight, but I managed to catch up with them. By the time we got to the first book on the descent, I was a lot better. And then yeah, the whole loop two, where we went a bit slower and temperature was better. I decided to focus on rehydrating. So every time I stopped at the creek, drank a lot, added salt to my water. Joe was smart enough to add a lot of rehydration salts to my backpack. And so loop two was a focus on rehydrating, getting the fluids back into my muscles and try to get over that difficult moment, and make sure by loop three that I got better. And so loop two was a pretty slow loop, but we teamed up with Jared and Joe McConaughey and Jasmine Paris joined us for a couple of hours as well. We were a strong team and we were moving reasonably fast. And yeah, I think we finished in 12 hours, a bit over 12 hours, the second loop. So still everything on schedule for a possible finish.
Excellent, excellent. So then we go again through the interlupo.
Yeah.
Same routine, something special here?
Same routine, fast, fast, fast. Get out again, and yeah, I agreed with Jared on 7 minutes. I think we ended up with 10 minutes, but we got out there again. I think Jared even took a shower in those 7 minutes, but I don't know how he does it. But no, yeah, Joe was there again. Joe was on top of it. He kicked me out of the camp again in no time, and out I was on loop three.
Yeah, then loop three. Actually, proportionally, a lot of athletes that started loop three will also finish. So I'm sure it's not a cozy walk in the park, uh, but still, proportionally, a lot of athletes actually make it through.
Yep.
So how was your story and experience?
Yeah. So the beginning of loop three started pretty bad for me. So what happened? Yeah. So it was a counterclockwise loop again, and so when you are still almost at camp, you just left camp, you already need to go off trail and you need to do a river crossing. And yeah, the night had been really cold. I think minus 12 again. The ground was frozen solid. And what happened? So there's one log that's across the river that you can use to cross, to keep your feet dry, because you don't want wet feet for the entire 12 hours. because that would give you trench feet again and blisters and pain. And so yeah, I went up the log, somehow slipped, fell down the log, could still hold myself onto the log, but my back was already in the freezing water. And then yeah, I gave it one try to get on top of the log, but it was too big. It wouldn't work out. And so yeah, I had to drop myself into the river. I got fully submerged in the water, freezing water. And then yeah, it was time to get everything together and yeah, get on with it. I do see it as a bit of a message from, or message. I'm not superstitious or anything, but a message from the Barkley itself saying, "Hey, Carl, if you want to finish, here's some additional challenges, but also here's a wake-up call to keep you mindful of the fact that time is ticking and yeah, you're out of the first night. It's time to wake up and to get going again." But I must admit, on that first climb of Loop 3, I suffered and I thought it could have been the end of my race because my feet were hurting extremely badly because it was so cold.
Yeah.
The trail up to Chimney Top, it's an actual trail, but because the ground was frozen solid, it was really rough to run on. It was extremely painful. By the time I got to the top, Jared catched up with me and we were together again. And I had to ask him to take out my page out of the book because I couldn't move my hands. He put it in my pocket. But then, yeah, I realized, okay, this is yeah what's going to be necessary to finish the Barkley. I knew sun would be rising in like half an hour later, and yeah, the second half of the loop went better. The sun came out eventually. Jared and I even took a moment to take off our long pants because it got even a bit hot. So things worked out well, but it was yeah a difficult start of loop 3. Yeah, but then we have yeah it's daytime again. You know, it might be your last counterclockwise loop. Maybe the last time you ascend Rajau, the last time you do the meat grinder at some other difficult hills. So yeah, that was already helpful mentally. And I think the reason so many people finish the third loop once they start it is also because yeah we have the carrot of completing a fun run hanging right in front of us. And the reality is also, yeah, if you can reach Loop 3 on Barkley marathons, yeah, you know what you're doing. You've done your training, you've done your studies of the course, and then yeah, you're definitely a type of athlete that can dig deep and grind a bit longer and make a fun run happen. I do think the fun run concept is a bit tricky, and it's one of Laz's approaches to make the whole race difficult. And I think that's yeah, just rewarding you with something when you didn't actually finish is yeah a way of making it more difficult because by loop 3 you are suffering a lot, and yeah, it kind of gives you the opportunity to think, oh yeah, I have a fun run, I can go home with pride now, and yeah, I can look back at a successful Barkley marathon. But I've never focused on a fun run, not the previous times that I ran, and not this time either, because the finish was the only thing I was interested in. I mean, it is a bit nice that you have a fun run, just because you did something at least. But to me, it had always been about the finish, and I didn't realize in any of the participations that I did a fun run. It was just okay. This is loop 3. I'm out on loop 4 now, and let's go for the finish.
Wow. So off to loop 4.
Mm-hmm.
And loop 4 is now infamously called the No Cops Karel loop.
Yeah, yeah. Last year I messed up a bit on loop 4. It's also called the crux of the race, so the most difficult part of the Barkley. because it's your second night. You're getting tired. You're getting sleep deprived. You're starting to hallucinate, and yeah, it's nighttime again. So the big difference this year was that we were doing this one clockwise again. And yeah, as I exited the camp, left the camp, Laz told me, "No cops this time, please." And I said, "Yeah, I'll try." But yeah, for sure, it's the hardest loop 4. And yeah, my focus this time was just on do not mess up. I mean, small mistakes are okay. Small navigational errors that consume some time are okay, but please no major mistakes that would make it impossible to finish. So I focused on navigating efficiently. I made a few minor mistakes already on the first climb. I made a pretty big mistake, but all in all, I managed to correct every single one of them. On one particular moment, I did get into some difficulties where I couldn't locate a book, and I really had the feeling that I was near the book and where the book was supposed to be. But I also realized I hadn't eaten properly in some time. So I decided, okay, let me just sit down for a minute and eat this burrito that Joe had packed for me. And yeah, that was last year my biggest mistake. I didn't sit down to think about what is actually going on here. I kept on running, moving. I saw a river. I went to the river. I should have just sat down and think about what was going on. And so this year I did it. I sat down. I took a good bite out of that burrito. I look up, and 20 yards away from me is the wall that contains the seventh or eighth book. And then I finished the burrito. I realized, okay, I'm back on track. I checked my Barkley watch because you get a watch that shows only how much time you have left to complete. And I realized, okay, I'm really time is really closing in on me now. So there I got my adrenaline. I didn't get sleep deprived anymore during the nighttime loop because I knew, okay, this is again all out effort to stay on track for a finish. I wasn't able to make any more mistakes, and I finished loop 4 in over 13 hours. So yeah.
Yeah, loop 4 is also the time to mention the phenomenal performance of Jasmine Paris.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, the Barkley hasn't seen a female finisher yet.
Yeah.
Uh, Jasmine, I think she collected 9 pages
Which is, I think, on loop 4.
before, which is just
Yeah.
absolutely phenomenal. Do you think we'll see a female finisher in one of the next editions?
I think and I hope we will, but I do believe so because I spent a few hours with Jasmine on the course, and she is so confident, so knowledgeable already about the trail, and you just know you feel she has the grit to finish it one day. Also, last year when all of us didn't manage to finish the Barkley, we went for pizza in a restaurant that John Kelly knows, and already there she told, okay, it's difficult but it's doable, and once you realize that it's difficult but doable, then you get into finishing territory and your mindset changes, your training approach changes a bit more. And I do believe that either Jasmine or Courtney Dowalter will finish one day. And I would be so excited when a female finishes the Barkley marathons. Yeah.
Yeah, amazing. So on to loop 5.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this was a loop where you were having troubles hallucinating, you were seeing
Yeah.
things, you were hearing things, but still you somehow maintained the focus to find all of the books, to tear all of the right numbered pages, and
Yeah.
to find your way back to base camp and the finish
Yeah.
in time.
Yeah.
How do you manage to keep that focus in
Yeah.
that state?
So it's still a mystery to me, to be honest. Because you don't keep the focus. You are so deep into it, and so sleep deprived. I didn't sleep for a single second. I wasn't able to take. I mean, just 1 second would have been so welcome, but I didn't have the time for it. And yeah, the reality is that you start losing it. You don't realize what you're doing anymore. I forgot the name of the race I was in. I forgot what I was doing. I knew something finishing that was in my mind, but yeah, you see people in the forest, they are shouting to you. You hear music, you see stuff that's not there, and you accept it. You realize that you're seeing stuff and hearing stuff that's not real. But somehow those two brain cells that are still working manage to keep you on track, and that's part of Barkley obsession, I think, of Barkley dedication. The fact that for hours and hours I studied the map, I knew the course, I knew every hill and mountain, and I've spent my time on the course already in the past, and it was just enough to stay on track. Somehow I would always find the books and or be in the neighborhood of the books, and then you can partly switch it on a little bit for a few minutes to actually find the book, but it's just a very hazy final loop. I think there was the biggest risk of failing and not being able to finish, because I knew already, yeah, from the stories in the past that it happens. You can start out on loop 5 in full confidence, fully aware of what you are going to do. And Andrew Thompson, for example, he started thinking he was a garbage man, picking up garbage from front yards from people. And me personally, I got pretty close to that, but somehow I managed to keep it together. I sang some songs. I tried to stay awake. I was shouting a lot. I don't think it was a pretty sight to see me out in the forest at that time, but it worked. I stayed on track, and yeah, what was funny is that Joe was waiting for me on the at the fire tower at the water drop, where the one spot where people are allowed, and he thought I gave him the look of I got this, I'm finishing this, and he gave the feedback online and to friends and family at home. Yeah, Carl gave me the look. He's doing this. But in reality, I had no clue what I was doing. My eyes couldn't focus anymore, and that was my look towards Joe. I just was totally lost. I didn't get it anymore, and I didn't. I saw Joe, but without realizing I was seeing Joe. So there was some misinterpretation there. But yeah, I continued on. The short part underneath the prison where you go in a super dark tunnel in the midst of day was so strange. I was seeing people on the walls, and I was hearing a television on top of me, and just the wildest experience, but very pure in a way as well. I mean, you're just so tired, and you're giving it everything you have, and you're moving forward in nature at totally at peace. And yeah, it was unique as well. I mean, that's why I was signing up for Barkley as well, just to have that extreme experience of giving everything I have, and being forced to give everything I have, and also being responsible for myself. So, for example, in loop 4, I did have the opportunity or the possibility to join forces with Jared or with Aurelian. But somehow, yeah, Aurelian and I ran together for 2 minutes maybe or 3 minutes, and we just felt, yeah, we wanted to do it ourselves. I mean, this is Barkley. Okay, you're allowed to work together, but yeah, we are here for our personal reasons of finding our limits and surpassing our limits. And it didn't feel right to work together in loop 4 and 5. And in 5, you're not allowed to anyway. But yeah, you feel pure, and you feel proud of what you are achieving. I mean, it's pretty wild out there in those mountains in Tennessee. And just the fact that you continue to know what you're doing, to find the books, to stay on track, and to stay within the time to make a finish happen is yeah, it's just so powerful. It's a unique experience.
Yeah, I tell
Um,
you, I saw the picture of you arriving at the gate, touching it. I saw the picture of you smiling after a while, but the state of exhaustion, which is well depicted here by Alexis,
mhm.
I yeah, I went a bit silent when I saw that, I must confess.
Yeah, yeah, and I must admit, I mean, I squeezed every single bit of energy out of me physically and mentally. So yeah, I was losing it mentally up until the last climb to chimney top. I got my last page, and then on the descent, which is on trail, I started running again, and as I started moving faster, I got some adrenaline, and I suddenly started realizing, okay, I'm in the Barkley marathons. I've got all my pages, and I'm supposed to touch the gate and finish this thing, right? And up until that moment, I couldn't watch my Barkley watch and make the calculation of how much time I had left because I was too much out of it. But by that time, I watched it. It was saying 11:25 or something. So then I could calculate. Okay, I've got 35 minutes left. I need to go full gas yet again from start to finish. But yeah, sprint down, and then yeah, once you are all the way down the mountain, you have to go off trail again over some slippery rocks. I fell. I hurt myself. I scrambled up again, crossed the river, finally get to the final easy trail, and then just sprinted down to camp because yeah, you know those watches that we get for Barkley, they are very
$10
cheap
watches.
watches, and already by the time you start the race, it's not synchronized anymore with the official watch that Laz has and that says how much time you have left. So I didn't trust the watch anymore. It said I had something like 9 or 8 minutes left. So I just sprinted down the gate. I was half asthmatic, claustrophobic, just yeah, I gave it everything, and then I collapsed as soon as I touched the gate.
Yeah,
And Lars explained it very well. He said, "Yeah, it's like you're a puppet, and there's a puppet master with the strings, and who makes you run. And as soon as you touched the gate, the strings were cut,
that
and you collapsed and you fell down. And that's the picture you can see now." I was coughing. I couldn't see because the salt entered my eyes. Yeah, it wasn't pretty.
But then you got in that state of exhaustion. Were you able to kind of celebrate with because there were three finishes?
Yeah,
Was there a moment of celebrating with the three of you?
yeah, there was. I think what you mentioned that yeah, at first people were a bit yeah afraid of if I was actually okay. But I did apologize for the drama, and I did say okay, I'm fine. And then yeah, it does sink in. It does sink in that you just finished the Barkley marathons. John was there to congratulate me. Aurelien too. We were able to congratulate each other. I'm so happy that they didn't go to bed already and that they stayed up. They must have been extremely tired. They already finished over 1 hour before me, but they stayed there at the gate in the cold to hope for my finish to happen. And yeah, it's powerful. I mean, the three of us had unique experiences while finishing the Barkley, and we saw each other often on the trail, and we saw it in each other's eyes. Like John and I as well. Before the start, we said, okay, this year is the year that we will finish, and
You'll
yeah,
celebrate.
that three people do it at the same time. It's unique. It happened once before in 2012. I knew the field was going to be exceptionally strong, and the result was three strong finishers and three great stories to tell. I think 40 great stories, but three finishers, two new ones. John was already a finisher, but then Aurélien was finisher number 16, and I was finisher number 17.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Congratulations again with such an amazing and inspiring performance.
Yeah.
Uh, and
Thanks.
now you're like a week back home,
Yeah.
supposedly in recovery. But then when we
Yeah.
talked this week, you were already planning your next one, your next adventure.
Yeah. So I had already planned on a new adventure for this summer. That for everybody who's watching the live stream now, I'm going to reveal, and later on social media, I will also share what this new adventure is going to be for this summer. But yeah, let's do another
Last
go
one.
again. And what's my next adventure going to be? Is it the Continental Divide Trail? Is it the Tiararoa Trail in New Zealand, or is it the Pacific Crest Trail in the United States? I can see the results, and I see most of the people are right. Some more doubt coming in now.
Yeah, interesting to see the stats. So, what is it, Karel?
So most people think I will go for the Pacific Crest Trail again, followed by about the same percentage that thinks I'm going for New Zealand or the Continental Divide Trail. Yeah, I'm going to go for the Pacific Crest Trail again this summer, um, for multiple reasons. Number one is that the PCT is the most exceptional, most beautiful, most unique trail in the world to me. It has desert, it has high mountains, Yosemite, Sequoia National Park. It has volcanoes. It goes through Lassen Volcanic National Park, around Mount Shasta, the forests of Oregon, the Alps of Washington. It's so unique. And the reality is that during my record attempt in 2016, I suffered a lot. I suffered for the last 30 days that I was in pain and with sleep deprivation. And it was a unique experience with Joe and I, just the two of us. But yeah, I kind of feel that there was much more there to do and to enjoy. And now that I'm so much more experienced as an ultra runner, with my record on the Appalachian Trail, with the record on the Via Alpina, with a Barkley finish, with a backyard ultra world championship, I think this is the time to go back to the PCT. I have two great friends who are going to support me all the way. I have another friend coming over to support another part. My wife is going to be there again. We are happy that it's possible to go for such a record attempt again. I am aware of the fact that the Sierra Nevada is seeing records amount of snow, like the most snow that has ever fallen in one winter. So snow will definitely be an issue during this record attempt. It will be a big issue, but yeah, it's about so much more than the record. I mean, I'm going all out for the record. But the number one reason of going for such a record attempt is the adventure, the unknown, the difficulties you get on the road, be it snow or difficult weather conditions or injuries or blisters or whatever. It's just an adventure with friends, with close family, with my wife, and I'm looking forward to it, and to go back the record had been broken as well. Timothy Olsen broke the record 2 years ago, and I'm just super excited to go back and reclaim or try to reclaim the speed record. Yeah,
Well, we'll be super excited to hear from you at the end of July or beginning of August on in a new webinar.
yeah,
Uh, in the meantime, thanks so much for doing this one.
yeah.
Uh, it's been amazing. And then, Karel, I think you have a surprise as well for anyone that would want to try your coaching platform.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. I thought it was a fun idea. Yeah, I mean, I became the 17th finisher of the Barkley marathons, so I thought, why not give a 17% discount for people who sign up for a half year of coaching with me. So yeah, I'm excited about the platform, of course, of Ultra Trail Coaching. I'm proud of what we have created so far, and just yeah, the people who successfully train and compete at ultra marathons being coached by me. It's exciting, and it's nice to share my knowledge from running the Barkley 3 times, from the PCT, the AT, all those miles that I've run in the past that have made me the athlete who I am now, and to share that knowledge, and yeah, to get people to have a lot of fun out there on the trails. So I think the code itself is Barkley 17. If you add that when you sign up for Ultra Trail Coaching, you get an immediate 17% discount on
Brilliant.
the
Thanks for
membership.
that.
Yeah.
So with that, we're going to close the webinar. I'm going to thank everyone for joining us in the audience. And again, a big thank you, Carol, for sharing your stories and your experience of what was an amazing performance.
Yeah, thank you. Maybe we can take just a handful of minutes to answer a few questions that appear in the chat. So people ask, when will I start? It will be 2 weeks into June, June 14th, something like that. So yeah, the biggest snow melt should already have been done, but there will still be a lot of snow, and I will be carrying crampons and an ice axe for a big part of California. I think I saw a question, sub 50 days. That would be nice, of course. The record is now 51 days. Sub 50 days would be nice. What I usually do is I don't look at the standing record or the current record. I just look at what I'm capable of day after day, and I decide with my crew, okay, today it's 90 kilometers, it's 95, and halfway through the day we recalibrate. Maybe I run a bit farther or less far, depending on conditions for that day. How different is the training for Barkley marathons compared to races as the Marathon des Sables or Pacific Crest Trail? Asked Celestin. Yeah, it's going to be elevation change compared to distance, right? So Barkley marathons is 1,000 meters of gain and descent every 10 kilometers. The PCT and Marathon des Sables is going to be way less. So you'll focus more on just running volume. But as usual, I switch it up with interval training, and then towards the end, and the closer my goal comes, the more I focus on volume. Tom asks, can you follow my PCT attempt closely? Of course you can. There will be a live tracking website. I will be carrying a GPS device. The crew will be carrying a GPS device. When it's possible, I will be going live. You will see my days on Strava as usual. But the idea is that we share the story, we share the adventure, we get you guys and the community part of the adventure, and for sure you will all be able to follow along on the PCT. If I will go back to Barkley like John, ask Catherine. Yeah, I think yeah, Barkley is a closed chapter to me because yeah, I love running very deeply. I'm so passionate about running, but training for Barkley is honestly it's very hard. It's very demanding to sacrifice your winter. My social life is on hold. It's not always easy to combine with my job, with seeing my wife and kid enough or as much as I would like. So to me, Barkley is a closed chapter. I would like to go back maybe one day to crew for someone to see the other side of Barkley. But I don't have a desire to become a double finisher or certainly not a triple finisher because I have so much more adventures that I can think about in the mountains and in beautiful areas that are yeah maybe more exciting than training in winter time when it's dark. Lisa asks, how does your wife deal with your crazy ideas? Up to now, we still get along very well, and we find each other in these adventures. She's, of course, super supportive of what I do, and yeah, she also has my guarantee that I give it everything I have. Right, I'm not going to throw the towel or quit when I'm not totally when it's not totally injured or whatever. So yeah, we find a balance. We know like this year it's quite a lot to do Barkley, to finish Barkley and to go for the PCT, but then we also agreed on not doing anything for the year or a year and a half after the PCT. In October, we have a trip planned to the US with a camper van without running, just the two of us and our 3-year-old boy. So I do try to find the balance. What helps as well is that I find comfort in not achieving the best possible training. I accept that I have a daytime job. I work a lot in a dental practice. I work a lot for ultra trail coaching, and it's just a matter of accepting that okay, I won't have the perfect preparation for this and that, but mentally I'm in the right place. I'm happy with my situation. I still see my wife and kid, and I can take that energy to finish something like the Barkley or to push hard on the Pacific Crest Trail when I'm running it. And maybe I'll do one more question. Yeah, the video will be put online afterwards, I think. We'll still have to check it out, but I think it's possible to share it online for people who want to share it with other people who have catched up later on. Any ultra trails in Europe that you advise? Yeah, I think there are plenty of good choices. I have to admit my personal favorite mountain range is the Pyrenees. You have a lot of spectacular races in the Pyrenees that are also organized in a nice way with a big connection with the local community. I'm thinking about Ronda del Sims or other really nice races in the Pyrenees. But yeah, in Europe, it's becoming very popular to do trail running and ultra running. You have nice races, but also very nice waymarked trails. You have GPS files that you can upload to your watch and run without being in a race. Just super many, a lot of nice trails to go out and to have a great time. So yeah, Europe is definitely a good place to be at. Yeah. All right. To all the 300 people who were there, thanks a lot for showing up and for listening.
All
Yeah.
right, we all agree.
I won't start a riot. I can perfectly live with not getting the Sportman of the Year award. I've had my part of media attention last week, and I can live with not getting any more rewards. I mean, I'm so happy with this finish, with the way things turned out, and that I became the 17th finisher, and this is enough for me. Yeah,
And we're so happy for you, Gal.
yeah. All right, everybody. See you out on the trails. Take care. Enjoy the trails. I hope to inspire you guys to get out and get running.
Bye.
See you all.